Hey guys, Rominating Reaper here. So I've just finished watching Apex on Netflix. This is directed by Baltasar Kormakur, who has previously directed other survival films, including Everest and also Beast. Yes, that's the one where Idris Elba punches a lion in the face, which, by the way, absolute cinema. So I was kind of curious about this one. Obviously, despite the Netflix of it all, the whole setup here sounded actually very intriguing and it looked ripe to deliver some survivalist thrills. I was also primed for a fun against type villain performance from Taron Egerton, so that alone automatically had me hooked. But does the film actually deliver as a survivalist thriller? Let's find out. So the film follows Sasha, a thrill-seeking adventurer who, 5 months after a tragic accident in the Norwegian mountains involving her old climbing partner Tommy, decides to head to Australia for a solo adventure in the Wandara National Park, of which the rugged landscapes are believed to be the cause of a string of disappearances in the area. That is until Sasha encounters a local man named Ben, who turns out to be a ruthless and sadistic hunter who begins to pursue Sasha in a dark and twisted game of cat and mouse. So, to paraphrase Forrest Gump a little, Netflix films are like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. You could either end up with utter disposable trash, or an unexpected gem. I'm happy to report that Apex leans more towards the latter than the former. Like, this isn't exactly going to radically reinvent the cinematic landscape or anything, but it is a solid film that fairly reliably does exactly what it says on the tin. So, obviously, from a narrative perspective, yes, this thing is not exactly reinventing the wheel. It very much follows a lot of the narrative beats that you'd expect a survival thriller like this to hit. Like, notably, you got the sort of tragic accident early on that shapes the main character's entire arc and, sort of drives their journey. There's also, yes, the sort of familiar, game of cat and mouse tropes that you expect in a kind of thriller like this. So, obviously, it is fairly predictable, but it's the kind of film that knows exactly what it is and what it's trying to be, and don't try to do anything more or less than that. I mean, this thing runs at a tight and punchy 90 minutes, ensuring that, it never at any point overstays its welcome, nor does the pacing sag. It's very consistent and engaging in its pacing, and allows for a number of quite fun, sort of, thrill-seeking, adventure-based set pieces. We've got mountain climbing, whitewater rafting, cliff jumping, all manner of fun stuff at play here that very much plays into the action in fun and very entertaining and quite, suspenseful ways. They are just, compelling and entertaining to watch. I mean, it helps that the thing is just an absolute beauty to look at. Obviously, a lot of this was shot on location in Australia, and yeah, it shows in just the sort of lush natural beauty of the landscapes, making it, a quite vibrant backdrop. And it helps that, unlike most Netflix movies, it actually does have a level of color to back that up. There's some saturation and contrast that very much works very nicely with the sort of natural beauty of its settings. Now, admittedly, there are some sort of digital elements that do kind of stick out a little. Like, there's some green screen backdrops here and there, particularly in the opening set piece in Norway. And there's even the odd CGI body double here and there, and they do very much stick out a bit, very much reminding you of the Netflix of it all. as those moments do have kind of an artificial digital sheen to them compared to the sort of rugged natural beauty of the on location shooting. But for the most part, again, it's done practically and with a level of color and vibrance to it. So I have to commend that, I guess. But I think what really makes this thing work are the performances. It's very much, obviously being a cat and mouse thriller, it's very much built on its central two-hander, and if the performances don't work, then obviously that central dynamic doesn't work either. Like, obviously, the characters are pretty simple and don't exactly go much deeper than the surface level traits that you expect them to, but the performances do very much do the best they can with the material. I mean, obviously, Charlize Theron is great as Sasha. She's this skilled, smart, and resilient thrill seeker adventurer who obviously is very much tested mentally, not just by this sadistic killer that's hunting her down, but also with the sort of guilt and trauma she's left harboring from this tragic accident with her old climbing partner Tommy, who's played very well in a small role by Eric Bana. Yeah, Theron, I think, really, really sells it. But the standout of the two is a very, very fun against type performance from Taron Egerton as Ben. My god, he absolutely crushes it. And honestly need to see him in more villain roles, because dude is just having a wheel of a time. Like, in one moment he'll be displaying that usual Taron Egerton charm, and then in the next, he'll be just utterly ruthless and kind of unhinged, like bopping along to the Chemical Brothers as he gives Charlize a head start to run from him and escape. He is very, very fun, and I really enjoyed the dark turn they took with his character, which very much obviously provides the basis for a very entertaining final act, which obviously, yes, does the dark, twisted reveals in very fun ways, and also delivers, yes, a lot of the fun survivalist action and the very satisfyingly done character payoffs. Again, predictable as a lot of it is, the character development here is done and does feel earned, and so a lot of the sort of narrative catharsis of it all does feel earned, and so it does leave off on a fairly good note overall. As a film that very much does pretty much what it sells itself as doing, no more and no less, and to be honest, I'm perfectly okay with that. Overall, Apex isn't exactly the apex of survival thrillers, but it is a solidly done one with an entertaining central game of cat and mouse, beautiful on-location cinematography, and great performances from Charlize Theron, and a scene-stealingly against-type Taron Egerton. Out of 10, Apex gets a 7. So, let me know down in the comments, have you seen Apex? What did you think of it? What is your favourite survival thriller? And what did you think of Taron Egerton's performance? And would you like to see him in more villain roles like this in the future? Let me know all that down in the comments. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you are new. And don't forget to turn on post notifications so you don't miss an upload.